Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Got you an update. Really, we're going to focus in on the tropics in this evening's video. Not even going to hold you up very long. Going to give you some pretty cut and dry information and compare and contrast some model guidance on what potentially could develop in the Caribbean, the Western Atlantic in general. Could something drift into the Gulf of Mexico? Could something just not develop at all? Both is a possibility. So we're really going to talk about things here. So first and foremost, I want to say thank y'all for the prayers. My little girl is feeling much better. As far as those other things I mentioned about my pump and my garbage disposal, those aren't really big deals, but it's getting worked out. So I appreciate the prayers. I really do. It really goes a long way. And with that being said, if you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives a whole lot of other people an opportunity to do so too. So let's all do that and look out for one another and glorify God doing it for sure. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate y'all's ongoing support as always. I've been able to turn on what YouTube calls super thanks, so you'll see it actually at the bottom of the videos. So it's just something you can click to support what I do. I guess it's another way to support. You get a little icon by your comments. So that's there. I'm not 100% sure even how it works. Haven't even had a whole lot of time to mess with that. I just got an email saying that, hey, you're eligible now. So that's there too. So I really appreciate the support regardless. So let's get going. Like I said, not going to hold you guys up too much this evening, but I'll show you. I'll start off because we're just focusing on the tropics this evening. No new tropical cyclones are expected during the next 5 days. So the storm I got to get used to shifting more into hurricane season. I'm so used to saying the Storm Prediction Center still. But the National Hurricane Center, it doesn't like the idea of anything developing between now and the next 5 days, which a lot of model guidance that is showing anything developing really doesn't show anything popping off until the latter part of the weekend, which is a little bit outside the 5 day range, just about. So, but right now, National Hurricane Center doesn't have anything to discuss. Nothing right now. So let's take a look at the satellite loop here, the satellite visibility. You see how it gets darker on this part of the screen. That's because the sun's going down, so it's changing the resolution here. But really, we're focusing in on the Western Caribbean. This is basically the Western Atlantic in general, and you got just a lot of convection. You see where you have all these clouds right here. The white colors, that is the clouds. Where you don't see as white colors, that is where you have little to no clouds, and that's just the ocean or either land. This is Central America. This is Mexico, and these are all the countries that make up Central America and then extend to the northern part of South America. So this is what we call CAG, C-A-G, Central American Gyrum. So basically what that is a bunch of convection that develops over land, and sometimes it can drift from one side of Central America or it can drift to the other side. And sometimes when it does, if you have a favorable environment, they can be the beginning stages or the origins of tropical development. So that is the potential with this case right here. As you can tell, there's a lot of convection firing up, tall cumulus clouds building. And this happens this time of the year, especially when you get into June. In fact, there's a lot of details. You can get really deep into the tropics because there's things like passing Kelvin waves. There's things like MJO phases. Basically, are you in a suppressed or you are in a rising phase? There's a lot that goes into this, and we'll go a little bit deeper into that when we have a better time to do so. It's a lot of explaining to do, but right now we're just focusing in on this. So a lot of convection firing up in this region. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the 12Z GFS. It's not the latest one. It's the one that came out around lunchtime. So keep your eyes down here. We're starting this off pretty much right now. We're getting into the latter part of the week, getting into Thursday. You see this area of green? That is just a bunch of showers and rain, convection. And as we're getting into Saturday, low pressure pops off per this GFS run. So Saturday morning, already looking at a low pressure, then it kind of weakens, and then it gets in basically the western areas of the Caribbean, right here in Western Atlantic. So it sits there, and steering currents really slow down, and it just is able to stay over this warm area of water right here. So as we're getting into next Monday morning, it starts to pop up a low pressure, begins to strengthen over some relatively warm waters of the tropical Atlantic, And basically it begins to strengthen even more. Getting to Tuesday morning, you're getting an all-out hurricane, riding and barely making landfall in the Yucatan, and scraping areas of far western Cuba. Then this gets into the Gulf of Mexico as pretty much a category 2 or 3 hurricane, gets picked up by a trough. And then about 11 to 12 days out, wants to slam a hurricane into the panhandle of Florida. Right? So that's what one GFS run shows. Now I'm showing you this. It's not going to happen. I'm never going to say it's not going to happen. I'll say it's a very, very, very low chance of happening. So you see that GFS run. We've been talking about this the last several ones. So you've seen that, right? This is the latest one, the latest GFS run. Same situation. Keep your eyes down here. And you're already noticing this is already for Saturday morning. If you compare it with the run before this, you already had a low pressure right here. So you're already seeing some differences, right? Same situation. This energy kind of gets into this area of the ocean right here in the Caribbean. And then you get into Monday morning. Low pressure popping off right here, right off the coast of the Yucatan, basically the eastern coast of the Yucatan here, off the coast of Central America on the Atlantic side. You compare this with the run before, and you already have a strengthening system starting to become very close to tropical storm status, a named storm, Alex. But then you look at the latest run, it has basically just a piece of energy sitting right here. There's not really much development going on. You keep this rolling here, and you're getting all the way into Tuesday morning. You're getting into Wednesday afternoon. So this is literally 8 days out. Okay, where is it? That's a big question, right? So you don't see anything. You see just a big blob of convection, showers, and storms, southwest of Cuba, right here in the Western Caribbean. So you're wondering, okay, well, what's going on? That's a big difference. Well, you compare this, or what it showed on the run previous to this, and look, that is a massive difference. So this is the 12Z GFS, right? Shows basically a category 2 hurricane barely making landfall on the far eastern tip of the Yucatan. And then you look at the previous run, and it has nothing. That's a pretty substantial difference. In fact, it's almost embarrassing for the GFS. But this is what the GFS does. It bounces back and forth. But I will tell you, that is the most significant shift run to run I've seen the GFS do with this potential system. So we'll keep this rolling here. And one thing the GFS has been doing is delaying this storm, so it doesn't completely knock it out. We're starting to get into about 9-10 days out. It finally begins to develop, right? So we're 10 days out at this point. We have probably a weak tropical storm, tropical depression, well west of Jamaica, south of Cuba, basically in the Caribbean, right? Basically in the Western Caribbean. You compare this with the run before this at hour 240, and you have basically a borderline major hurricane in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico about to make bearing down on the Gulf Coast. That's a massive difference. Massive run-to-run difference right there. Still has a system on the latest run, but man, it is much different. So you keep this rolling here, and it just stalls in this one spot. Now, it keeps the fact that it likes the idea of a strong hurricane. In fact, it's even stronger. But at this point, you look at this, it finally makes landfall, 14 days out, June 1st. But then if you look at the run prior to this, it's out the picture. It's done made landfall and crossed all the way into the western Atlantic. So, or the northern Atlantic. So much different, right? So it's not reliable right now. But one model that is reliable is the Euro, and it's consistently showing the idea of nothing developing. And you look at that right here, and you look at the European, it's sticking to its guns of showing basically just a lot of convection, a lot of showers and storms over Central America. And then eventually, this could potentially pop off a low pressure on the Pacific side of Central America. So there's a big difference here, right? I mean, and the European is pretty much stuck to its guns also. The GFS is stuck to its guns also too, but it's much more aggressive and chaotic scenarios for sure, and very aggressive. Now, I will mention the Icon model, which isn't necessarily a super reliable model. We just look at it as model guidance. Pretty much has this thing really sped up. Latest long-range Icon, pretty much, By the time we're getting into the overnight hours of this Friday and the Saturday, has whatever this is getting into the Gulf of Mexico, and then by Sunday afternoon, a developing low pressure just off the coast of the Panhandle of Florida about to move in a strengthening system. Sometime overnight this coming Sunday and a Monday. So the icon likes something in the Gulf of Mexico too, but nothing too crazy at all. Not even enough to be a named storm if you're basing it off this. But last thing we'll look at here is the Gefs Ensembles, which is the ensembles to the GFS. And, this is the current, basically, this is the run at the, this was the GFS run from 12Z. This, bang, is the current run. That's a big difference. I mean, look at this. First off, there's not quite as many low pressures showing up, right? Which there's not going to be multiple low pressures. This is an ensemble, so it's trying to basically predict where a potential low pressure can be. So first of all, you don't see quite as many. Second of all, it significantly shifts much further west and southwest. So to me, that tells me that it's slowing down, and also it's weaker. It's a weaker signal in general. So it's pretty wild. We'll continue to look, and I tell you what, the latest GFS ensembles is everywhere. Pretty wide, broad area. It has no idea what it wants to do. So to me, I'm losing a lot of confidence that the GFS is even remotely a potential here. So we'll try to figure out what's going to happen. I'm losing my voice. But as of now, we're still just watching this. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a big embarrassment for the GFS early in the tropical season if nothing comes out of this. Now, if something comes out of this, then you can tip your hat to the GFS a little bit. But if absolutely nothing comes out of this, big time early season L for the GFS. So my voice is starting to crack for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. And I'll have you an update in the morning.